Hey guys, so we're here smack dab in the middle of the big redneck food plot. That's what we call it here on the hunting grounds. It's about a 3.5, closer to 4 acres, probably a good solid 3.5 acres of food plot right here, not too far behind my house. So I want to talk to you guys about how I designed it last year, and based upon what I saw, how I changed it up to make it a better design for this year, and how I'm already seeing great results. So last year I came in with Killer Food Plots Border Patrol, and we didn't really have much structure around this food plot. It literally came from a mature timber stand right into a field. So a buck looking for a doe could stand 20, 30 yards or even more in some cases back in the woods and could scope out this food plot and see that there was no does in here, and he didn't want to come to check to see if they were receptive. So I came in with Killer Food Plots Border Patrol, and I planted it around the entire border of this food plot, which really worked out really well. It's the exact reason why our hunt winner last year, Billy, was able to tag his buck. There was no way that that buck was going to come into this food plot, but he had to come through the border, check out this corner food plot to make sure there's no does in here, and then he was going to quickly exit. He shot him right before he exited the food plot, but it gave us that opportunity. That's what I try to use Killer Food Plots Border Patrol and their smoke screen for, is to try to get, for one, cover for me to walk in and walk out, and to give us some structure around the blind and whatnot, but to also make the deer travel where we want them to hopefully give us a better shot opportunity. So I had the Border Patrol around the perimeter of this food plot last year, really enjoyed it. In the middle, I divided it with a mixture of their Border Patrol and their smoke screen. Their smoke screen is a little bit softer structure. It's got some sun hemp and some of their Killer Food Plot mix in it, but the deer really seem to go through it a little bit better. They like to browse on it a little bit more. So I put that more on the interior of my food plot, where the Border Patrol has a little bit more rigid structure to it, and on average for me seems to get a little bit taller. Deer don't really seem to walk through it as well, so I use that more of a guide and director. So last year I had a mixture of Border Patrol and smoke screen coming right to the middle, right to the intersection of the redneck blind. And then closer to season, I came in here when I planted my fall food plot. I brush hogged down some of the barriers and then planted and everything through here. Well, this year I changed that up a little bit, where I didn't have to plant the border around the perimeter of the food plot, just because I did some intense edge feathering all summer long, and now you cannot see even like 10 yards back in the woods. So I am having that structure without the Killer Food Plots Border Patrol, and that's what I want. That provides even more browse, that provides bedding right off the food plot here. It provides structure and a getaway for the does when they're getting chased by the bucks. So I didn't have to put that around here this year. There's actually a doe right there. Look at that. There's a doe in the food plot walking in here as I'm sitting here talking. I don't know if you guys can see. Let me see if I can zoom into her a little bit. Let's see. She is way down there. There she is. She's right down there. Crazy doe. But last year it worked great. We had our hunt winner tag a buck out of here. We had Dad tag a doe at 20 yards or less. I tag a doe out 20 yards or less. It really did direct the deer exactly where we wanted them to go. This year in this food plot, I did not plant the soybeans like I had in the previous years. But this spring, summer, I came in here with Killer Food Plots Climatize, and I planted it. And it's got a mixture of their Killer Food Plots spring forage peas, their soybeans, buckwheat, and their radishes. And it did really good. I had a lot of summer browse, a lot of spring browse. We were hit with a really hard drought through most of the summer, and so there was more weeds in here because of the amount of browse and the stress from the drought than I really wanted. So I came in here, I terminated it, and I've come back in here and I have planted it with their Carnage brassica, and it's doing really well. Then I came in here also at the same time and spread winter wheat over it. Not so much for the purpose of feeding the deer with the winter wheat, but at the very end of the season, after all the brassicas are gone, I've still got the winter wheat. As that spring regeneration starts, I've got the winter wheat growing up. It's taking a lot of that excess nitrogen out, and it just kind of makes the food plot better and more user-friendly when it comes to planting in the spring. Now you'll notice in some areas in here there's still some green spots in this food plot. What is that? Well, that is where I came in on top of that mix and had planted some milo. So it's still got a really good stand. So inside that milo, it's got some of the cowpea, it's still got some of the soybean and buckwheat. It's doing really well. I planted that a little later because I kind of ran out of seed, and it's we ended up getting rain, and it really helped it out. And so kind of planted that thinking, okay, we have a lot of doves that come through here. That's a great source of food for our turkeys and doves, and there are doves flying everywhere. Right now there's about 10 of them just flew over. So that's the reason that I left that area. But the biggest thing that I did to the food plot this year, instead of coming in with the barriers and planting them all the way through the middle and intersecting them and then coming in towards the end of summer and brush hogging them down, then planting them, is allowed. What I did is I didn't quite connect them this year. I knew where the deer like to intersect, and so I've got these openings through here, and one's no further than about 30 yards from the redneck, but from every single point of the food plot, if you get in a certain point, you can actually see through here. So it's very easy for a deer or a buck that has not been in this food plot before to know that they can travel from one side to the other using this intersection. It also allowed our local deer to pattern on that. They're so used to it. Actually, when I was shooting the B-roll for this video, I was flying the drone and I saw a shadow of something on the west side, and a doe had run out of the woods. I didn't pay her anything, I promise you that. She's actually probably gonna hate me for it because she's probably gonna get shot this fall. But anyway, she had ran from one side, ran down the barrier just like she's supposed to, and walked within 3 yards of the redneck. She would have been right in front of the redneck if I didn't have that barrier there breaking her up, but she did exactly what they're supposed to do. So in here, it's got this huge intersection. It allows us, even in the redneck, to still be able to bow hunt this. So even though it's about a 3.5 acre food plot, it allows us to hunt it with the bow and know that the majority of the deer are all gonna walk within about a 20-yard bow range, right smack dab in the middle. We've also got a border coming down that allows us to sneak in on one side or the other from the house there. The Killer Food Plots Border Patrol, even with the drought this year, grew taller than I've ever had it grow before. It is easily, I would say, 10 foot tall, if not a lot taller than that in some of the areas. I actually need to get in there and measure it, but it's done phenomenal. So everything's growing in really well. You can see a nice green tint to the food plot. You can see the Carnage brassicas are coming in really nice. You're actually seeing a lot of the buckwheat come in at the same time, and that's not something I planted this fall. Is because I had all that standing buckwheat that I came in and brush hogged down, so it had all the mature seeds on it, and so it is regenerational growth, which the doves are loving, and they're loving the little bit of seed that's on top of the soil at the same time. But the Climatize this year, I believe, really helped this food plot. It helped build the soil. It put a lot of organic mass right back in the soil. It had the radishes, which really taprooted down and really helped aerate and break up the soil. Then you have the buckwheat, which provides a lot of organic mass very quickly, and it provided a lot of browse and a lot of green nutrients to the deer throughout the spring and the summer. So by coming in and not clearing out 100% of the food plot, you can tell the doe was already coming in here. So they're coming into this green patch I left right here in the middle, and then now they're starting to browse on the stuff that's coming up. So this food plot has once again turned out killer, no pun intended, by planting Killer Food Plot seed mixes in it, and it does phenomenal. We're going to have a lot of hunts out of it. We're going to have a lot of youth hunts out of it, and it just makes it, there's a lot of work. There's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears that go into this, but once you get it established, every year it just gets easier. But the rewards when it comes to hunting season are tenfold, and I can tell you this year we're going to love every moment sitting right up there in that redneck, so it really does make it worth it. So down below in the YouTube video there is a discount code if you guys are wanting to use Killer Food Plot seed mixes. I encourage you to do so. They are a really good seed mix. You're getting a lot more seed at a lot better price, and then the seed mixes are phenomenal. So check that out, and guys, comment down below. Be sure to give a big thumbs up, and until next time, have a better than average day.